Good morning, dear friends. Here we are with another study of the book Calmness by the Spirit Emmanuel through the blessed mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. Welcome. This morning we're going to study chapter 32 that Emmanuel titles Petition and Answer, or Petition and Response. The question for today is, what are you asking of God today? And how is God replying to our petitions throughout our lives? So let's see what Emmanuel has to say today. He's going to start this chapter by saying, quote, when you direct yourself to divine providence to ask for something, to not allow yourself to plunge into unproductive affliction, capable of disturbing your environment, delaying the concession you desire. You understand this easily in the simplest lessons of a practical life, unquote. So the first part of this chapter is a blessed reminder that when we are plunging into unproductive afflictions, those disturb our environment, and then we can delay what we desire or our heart's desire. And of course, I'm talking about here the petitions and concessions we want in order to be granted a spiritual growth, intellectual moral growth that allows us to raise ourselves in the scale of the spirits. Those immortal spiritual abilities that will help you and I grow. I'm not necessarily talking about the physical requests we have of God, because sometimes those are silly, right? We ask for a bigger house, a better place, more things, and those are not necessarily to our best interest. But it's a very good lesson that starts with, when you ask something, when you direct yourself to divine providence, that's when you pray. When you pray, you can ask, you should praise God, and you can thank God for what you have, and we are allowed to ask for things that we need. And of course, in this life, as a reincarnated spirits living on the earth, there are physical things that we would desire to have, right? I can pray for a better microphone and a camera with the objective of bringing you this content. But I can also pray and ask for patience, for resignation, for calmness, for tranquility, and the strength to work for those things. Those are muscles, those are abilities we can develop that don't we necessarily learn growing up, but it's the time that we learn so we can pass on to the new generations. Then he reminds us, when we plunge into unproductive affliction, they can disturb your environment. And nowadays, it's very easy to plunge into unproductive affliction. When we browse our phones, when we use apps, when we look at the news, and we look at other people's feeds, those things are designed to grab our attention. So it's very easy to be afflicted and lose sight of what are you here to do? What are the impact that you can have around you while still caring for those who are far, who are suffering, those who are near who are suffering. But we might be afflicted waiting for something, and then that can disturb our environment. And then he will mention that we can learn this in the lessons of life. So he's going to give us 3 examples. One is, if you ask for a car that goes faster than traffic, you may be leaning towards disaster or a traffic accident. And then that pretext may be that we are in a hurry. So I need to get a bigger car, a faster car. Then I could be putting myself in a situation where I hurt myself and others. And then he's going to talk about bridges. So when we require that the bridge carries more weight than it's designed to do, then we may dismantle it. It may succumb to the weight. And then the pretext we may use is urgency. Instead of looking for the bridge that can hold the weight we are carrying, we just go for the first one just because it makes it easier on us. The other example is When we go for a well, if you have a well, or maybe you receive water from the municipalities where you live in, then if you're looking over a well and you're thirsty, but you shake the bottom of the well because you say, oh, I'm just going to try to get more water because I'm thirsty, then the water mixed with the soil becoming muddy, making it unsuitable for you to drink. And then it makes it unsuitable for maintaining health. Those are the examples it gives, and I'm paraphrasing, explaining it to you. And then he will continue by saying, quote, in your requirements to the greater life, formulate them carefully and continue in the work that the world has given you, waiting for the manifestation of divine power through the circumstances of the path you're on, unquote. So he's saying when you ask something, carefully formulate that request. And while you request, you continue to work in the work that the world has given you. Dear friend, this is going to air in September, which is the month where we dedicate to valuing life and prevention of suicide. So whatever you are in the world, if God has granted you opportunity to listen to Calmness with Emmanuel in the morning, I urge you to feel the loving presence of the good spirits around you, because the work that you came here to do is only yours and yours only. You have a lot of things to give to the world, a lot of things you can learn from the world, a lot of opportunities of service, and you are valued. We want you to stay with us and go through this planetary transition and the challenges and afflictions together, making one another better. Emmanuel will continue. Unnecessary disquiet delays the predicted relief. Whatever obstacles may rise ahead of you, in the expectation of support, your requests from the heaven, do not despair. So even if the obstacles seem to, okay, I want something, but something is preventing me from getting it, he says, do not despair. There's a reason why God doesn't necessarily grant everything that you and I have. Ask it of him or her or it. If you believe God is not a being, it's just the language we use, the pronouns we use, then we may feel like the requests are taking too long. And that's the last part of this chapter. He will say, quote, if the Most High's response to your request seem to take too long, excuse me, it is that your request certainly calls for deeper analysis, so that in the future you do not turn yourself against the laws of life, claiming to have fallen into the imprudence that will have been born of yourself and not of the Lord, who wisely reserves the best for us, unquote. So when we ask something of divine providence, let's carefully formulate those requests and see if they're even reasonable. Now imagine if God were to grant all the almost 8 billion folks who are incarnated on the earth's requests, plus all of our discarnate friends that are around us, all of our requests, we would live in dire chaos. For example, there are laws of life, there are the divine laws we have to follow, there are plans that Jesus has traced for the evolution of the earth. We have the free will of others that we can infringe. We have responsibility to live in this world in a way that doesn't harm others. My freedom of choice, my freedom, my rights stop when the rights of others start. When I'm asking for something of God, there is a whole cascade of collateral effects that we may not, in this lifetime, as a spirit incarnated on the earth, be able to visualize. Therefore, there's deeper analysis that are necessary. Imagine, now go back to your childhood, for example. How many things have we asked of God when we were younger that right now we would feel very silly if we recall, but that was the request we needed at that time. Imagine if God has granted us all of the requests that we wanted. Perhaps we would not have valued the things we have today. If every time we have difficulties and despair, we ask God to remove. This is the first instinct sometimes. Please, God, remove this problem from my life. Please make this person go away. Yet, look back at the times that you took to learn from something, to troubleshoot a situation, to learn patience and kindness towards others, and how much growth those obstacles and difficulties have brought to you in this lifetime alone. Imagine all the lifetimes we've had before. And it's up to you and I to make those requests of divine providence, because yes, the law of worship dictates we can ask God for things. We should talk to God every day so God can hear our most inner desires. But we should also think about, what are we asking, dear friends? We are in 2021 when this first airs. Should we be asking for physical things? Should we be asking for more? Or should we be asking that God use us as instruments to serve others? Would extra pair of shoes or clothes, or the perfect mate, or the bigger house be of any use? As I'm not diminishing the importance of shelter and clothing and food, but could we have less? Could we give the access to others? Could we give of our time and attention to those who have less than we do? And then we are serving the entire community, while learning as well to be patient, to be kind, and to look for those examples in nature and in practical life, to tailor our requests of the greater life and the good spirits very carefully, while you continue to work on the work that the world has given us, because only you can have the effect on your circle of influence around the place you are, the country you're born, the place you live in, the work you do, and the people around you. Therefore, dear friends, I invite you to find ways to work and ask of God that will help you grow more each and every day of your lives. And I hope this message touched your heart and the hearts of others. And of course, go ahead, share, like, subscribe, and make sure that other people can also benefit. And sharing is caring. Sharing this content with others will allow you a greater reach of the Spiritist doctrine, will allow others who may be in need of listening to this message. Thank you so very much, everybody, and I'll see you another time with another chapter from the book Calmness by the Spirit Emmanuel through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. Have a great day. Stay well. Stay safe. I'll see you soon.